everyone, welcome back to the Shipping Mouse. I hope you'll forgive my pink cheeks and anime hair. I just washed my hair, and if all you curly girls know, until it is all the way dry, who knows what it's gonna do. I mean, it's literally, curly hair is literally never the same 2 days in a row, but on the other hand, it's better to set it free and let it be curly than to fight it, because if you try to fight it, it ends up frizzy. Why are you getting off the couch? What? Alright, well, there you go. At least I've still got one dog, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and update you some on the Trim Healthy Mama thing, since it's been a few days. The one video I made is taking a while to upload because it's so incredibly long. I kind of went on a soapbox rant, and it is like 20 minutes long, as you've probably seen by now. If you're watching this, hey Mom. And so, you know, went on that rant, and now it's time to move on with the actual Trim Healthy Mama stuff. Chapter 4 of the book, we are introduced to Farm Fresh Tess, who is a lady who has the privilege of, you know, being a homemaker, and she has like a small hobby farm. She does all her own cow's milk and goat's milk and sheep milk, I don't know, yarn, I guess, would come from sheep, but chickens, she does lots of chicken eggs. Their own meats are kind of harvested by her, and so she doesn't have to worry about hormones or antibiotics or anything. So she's pretty convinced that she's feeding her family in a very healthy way, and compared to the standard American diet, she's right. But there's always a but. Everybody has a but. At least everybody I've met. But she is incorporating too many carbohydrates with these meals, which is kind of the same thing we've seen with the last few mamas in the book. She is, you know, she'll give her family meat and potatoes, which I'm Midwestern, that's pretty standard fare for us. Meat and potatoes, and then she'll, you know, add like some bread and butter, stuff like that. So you're looking at, say that's a pot roast for the meat, you're looking at fats and carbs. So as we go through this diet and break it down and start to try and understand it, it's big no-no if you're trying to lose weight to combine your fats and your carbs. Now, once you've reached your goal weight, then you can do a few more crossovers, which are meals that have carbs and fats. You don't want to rely completely on those meals according to the book. Again, I'm working through this with you at the time, so I can't claim to be a complete expert. But you are allowed a few more of those when you're trying to maintain. In fact, it's encouraged so that you don't continue to lose beyond what is healthful. But for Tess, Farm Fresh Tess, yep, okay. Tess is an older name, so sometimes I forget about it. Makes me think of Ocean's 11. But for Tess, you know, doing this kind of thing every single meal is rough on her body, and she's noticing it now starting into herself as she gets older and approaches menopause, because she no longer has as much estrogen to protect her cholesterol and blood pressure levels. And so this is becoming a problem for her as her hormones adjust to a more queenly or empress stage of her life, as the Trim Healthy Mamas call it, which I think is adorable. You know, things are changing, and she can't continue to metabolize that much sugar. And so even though the foods she's preparing and eating are healthy and healthfully sourced, they're still not very good for her in the combination of ways that she's having them. Now, she's noticed she's putting on weight, and her blood readings are not as good, and so she comes to Trim Healthy Mama looking for an adjustment. So basically, Tess's problem is the same as the other ladies, even though her diet's completely different. Just like Whole Grain Jane and Drive-Thru Sue, Tess has an issue with insulin and sugar, and that's because those fresh-grown potatoes and sweet potatoes and all that corn and all that good homemade bread still contains a lot of carbohydrates, so she's still pumping up that blood sugar. And so just like with Whole Grain Jane, who didn't think of herself as eating sugar because she was eating honey and she was eating maple syrup and stuff like that, and she was, you know, homemade granola, that kind of thing, it still hits your body as blood sugar. Your body, goodness, that sounds horrible. Your body doesn't understand the difference between cake sugar and maple syrup sugar. To your body, they're pretty close to the same thing in terms of blood sugar levels. Maybe not in the sense of, you know, how processed they are, but as far as what they do to your blood sugar and thus your insulin levels, they're pretty similar. So you want to kind of cut back on that. So she's going to have to pull in those carbohydrates and learn that with her roast beef comes a non-starchy veg like a cabbage, broccoli, something like that. If she's having chicken, then she can have some sweet potatoes, something with a little bit more carbs. But again, you'd never want to go overboard. Trim Healthy Mama is technically a low glycemic diet, which means that while you don't cut out all carbs, you do remain conscious of how your carbohydrates affect your blood sugar. And you basically, instead of letting your blood sugar spike up and then your insulin jumps up to meet it, which knocks your blood sugar back down, and you get, like a EKG straight up and downs. I'm going in reverse way though because I'm on camera. Instead, you want to have kind of smooth, gentle hills. And that's what low glycemic gives you by pairing a protein or some fiber with any sources of carbohydrates. It helps make that curve of your blood sugar a little more gentle, and that keeps you in a good fat burning mode, which is kind of the principle of Trim Healthy Mama. It's more of the hormonal science behind why we're not combining fats and sugars. It goes into deeper why that is the case and how far apart you have to consume your fats and sugars a little later in the book, and I look forward to going through that with you as well. It's fun, and I enjoy having this opportunity to kind of talk through this as I go, mostly for accountability. I have done this diet before, I had some results, and I quit it because, I don't know, I got busy, and so when nobody's holding you accountable, you're not accountable for anything, right? And so I'm sitting here talking to you to keep myself motivated and to keep myself accountable so that, I have to stay on track, because if there's no progress in 2, 3, 4 months, you guys are going to see it. Now, you guys, again, hi, Mom. So, I'm trying to kind of break this diet down into little bite-sized pieces in case there are any new beginners out there who jump onto the Trim Healthy Mama's YouTube page and they're like, whoa, this is a lot. What is an S? What is an E? What is a XO? I mean, what does this mean? Why is it coded? It's like reading a book on how to knit or crochet where everything's in some kind of weird code and you're wondering, was this written in English? What is going on? And so, I don't know, I'm somebody who doesn't like abbreviations. I don't like acronyms either, because then instead of having an easier way to remember a list of facts, I just have to remember the acronym in addition to the facts. So for me, I'm not into abbreviations and acronyms, and so if anybody else is out there like me and they just kind of want a straightforward rundown of everything, that's kind of what I'm doing with this Trim Healthy Mama, I wanted to say podcast because of my podcast, with this YouTube channel. And so I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. I hope everything made sense, and I'll be with you again tomorrow.